hopefully not a Hollywood ending for Tom Brady against the Dallas Cowboys on Monday Night Football on Super Wildcard Weekend. What terrifies you the most about which version of the Cowboys you're going to see against Tom Brady and the Bucs?
What terrifies me the most is very quietly this just hasn't been the same team for the better part of a month. And specifically to playing the Bucs, like what is really the one thing that the Bucs do well is throw the ball and throw the ball aggressively. And the Cowboys have been terrible about explosive plays in the passing game since Anthony Brown got hurt. They're like last 3 in the league in terms of like big plays in the passing game and passing yardage. And that's like the one thing the Bucs can do. Like they don't run the ball that well. Their rhythm isn't really that good, but they know how to do chunk plays in the passing game. And yeah, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't nervous about Mike Evans and Chris Godwin going against that secondary, because it just has not really been holding up very well since early December.
Dave, one of the things about at least the week 1 matchup, obviously these teams are very different since then, but one of the things about the week 1 matchup, the Bucs absolutely rolled a lot of coverage to kind of overload the strong side, often leaving like 1v1 on the backside, which would kind of give Michael Gallup an opportunity to go off. Obviously, this hasn't been nearly his best season. Do you think he has it in him from what you've seen from him this season, particularly towards the back end of the season, to maybe be able to handle some one-on-one assignments and maybe win that way?
I mean, I love Michael Gallup, and I give him a lot of grace because injuries are a big deal. You know, like this isn't Madden where you can just assign a recovery period and everybody functions on that timeline. I mean, and remember, Mike had to delay surgery by like a month last year because of the swelling when he tore his ACL. So like you're still talking about a guy who's not even a calendar year removed from having ACL surgery. So I give him a lot of grace. I'm not trying to hate on him or say that he can't get back to who he used to be, but he hasn't been that guy all year. Like he does not seem to possess the same level of juice that we're used to seeing. And like I said, like I think he can get back to that. And I guess never say never in the playoffs where you know you have to leave it all on the field, maybe, but like he's been back since week 4, you know, like it's not like this is a small sample size. He's been playing most of the year and we just haven't seen it. And so I'm not optimistic. Like I said, I don't think that means he can't ever be that guy again. But we haven't seen it over the course of like probably 12 games this year, and that doesn't give me a lot of confidence that that's going to change.
3 hours ago, at Speak on FS1 officially on Twitter, quoted a certain young man at David Helman _ who said, quote, "This is a must-win game for Daks Legacy." You stand by that statement that you made today?
He said it today.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, like yeah. Did I come home and like go to the
change your mind?
And change my mind?
Did you change?
No, I absolutely stand by it, and I think like it's easy to take some of that stuff out of context. And I said it on the show today. Like I'm not saying it's not must win in the sense of like you know like Dak's gonna be the Cowboys quarterback next year. He's going to have opportunities to rewrite the narrative. But my thing is, like, we've seen how this stuff goes. Once you get to a certain point in these games that the whole world watches, if you don't deliver, you lose control of the narrative. And I think to this point in Dak's career, especially for a Cowboys quarterback, like, I think the narrative on Dak has been very neutral. Like, most people either like him or at the very least don't hate him, you know? And I think you can already sense the tide turning on that because of the interceptions this year. Like when you throw interceptions in 7 straight games, honestly, Tony Romo went through this himself. Like that, I mean, that is, I think, what turned a lot of people against Tony Romo is it's like, oh my God, dude, like how many times am I going to turn on to what, like a big Cowboys game that they have to win and you're going to throw a pick in the 4th quarter? And I think, and whether that's fair or not, that's just what the narrative was. And I think Dak is going through something similar. When you talk about being 1-4 in the playoffs, your one win was 4 years ago, back-to-back 12-win seasons where you don't make any noise in the playoffs. I think anybody that's even on the fence about Dak is going to jump off. That's among Cowboy fans and non-Cowboy fans as well. So I think the narrative will shift from neutral to Dak can't win in big moments. I think that will be the narrative that he has to fight against if he doesn't find a way to win this game. And it's not to say that he can't change that narrative, but I don't think he's ever had to work against that before. Like I said, I think for the most part, people have either been pro or neutral toward Dak for most of his career. And I mean, when you're talking about the Cowboys quarterback, there's always going to be outlying opinions, but I think that is the general opinion about Dak. But if he doesn't win this game, I think it's going to be 98% negative in terms of like what people's assessment of his play is.
In your opinion, do you think Jerry and Steven believe that?
Ooh, that's a really good question. And actually, I thought Shady today made a really good point about that, which is to say, yeah, like it's not a must-win game in the sense of, he'll be the Cowboys quarterback next year, but if he doesn't win this game and these struggles persist next year, whether it's turnovers, whether it's not winning big games, whether it's coming up short in the playoffs, I mean, that's a conversation you can have. Like, is Dak going to re-up and be the quarterback here for the foreseeable future once again? Or is this kind of a pivot point where you can start to imagine moving on from Dak? I don't know what they think, but I do think this game, any other games that they play in these playoffs, if they do find a way to win, and then next year as well, like I think a lot of that will inform those opinions. I mean, if you pay Dak $160 million total dollars, $40 million a year, and by the time it's time to consider a new contract, if he hasn't even won a playoff game, yeah, I think that's going to influence people's opinions, including the owners.
That was a fantastic Cowboys answer, and you know me, I don't want to do no more of that. Earlier today, we found out that Kevin Gray is blocked by Lamar Jackson, and I don't know if you've seen this tweet from me. I don't expect people to like follow my Twitter or nothing.
Oh, I absolutely saw it. I'm chronically online, Reg. I absolutely saw KG dogging on Lamar Jackson.
I love it so much. Is there anybody? Man. First of all, any thoughts on that? And secondly, is there anybody that you respect greatly that happens to have you blocked?
I mean, hey, Kev, you know what? We all have some that we want back.
For sure. Appreciate the sympathy, Dave. Thank you.
I think it's a little wild.
A lot.
That I think it's a little. I think that's pretty reckless. But look, I mean, hey.
Look, man, it was week 3 college football season, September 2016.
He had 5 touchdowns in that game.
He must have thrown a couple of really bad passes for me to think, oh, well, he must be out here looking like a wide receiver. Or maybe he was just running around looking like a wide receiver and didn't need to play quarterback. I don't know.
At least you have the excuse of, like, just watching a college football game and firing off some takes. Like, yeah. I get paid to cover the draft. And I had some unflattering opinions about Josh Allen. I was like, stop talking to me about this, dude. I'm like, this guy can't complete 60% in the Mountain West, and you think he's going to be worth a damn in the NFL? And
he couldn't even do it in high school.
And he wasn't really doing it his first season either, and then all of a sudden magic happened, and now he's accurate. It's crazy.
Look, I mean, stuff happens, man. You do this for a living, you're going to have some takes you want back. That's just the way it goes. As far as people, I've definitely I have found out that I've been blocked by people before, but it was never somebody like that. It was never like a celebrity or an athlete. Honestly, it's usually like a colleague, like somebody that I've like worked close. Yeah,
Spicier.
I know that sounds spicy, right?
Yeah.
But it's always I've never found out I was blocked by somebody and been like, oh, that makes sense. Like, I get that. Like, it's always very confusing. I'm like, I don't remember ever saying anything about you. So, no, nothing nothing too juicy, but that's a really wonderful story. Not just that Kev said it, but that Lamar saw it.
And
well, here's the thing. I didn't even tag him. I just
you put the hashtag.
I used the hashtag Lamar, but that means he must have went and looked himself up
easily. Or somebody snitched.
Yeah. Athletes be name searching, dude. Like it's crazy. And like I make it a point. Like I don't tag players in my tweets. Because like I cover the team, so like anything I say is going to be very visible. People are always like, "Oh, you afraid to tag them?" I'm like, "You really think that they're not going to see it?" Like you realize like the teams see all of this stuff. I don't tag people because like I don't feel like I need to contribute to like the toxicity of their mentions.
Mm-hmm.
But even still, the frequency with which players like see my tweets and like maybe they don't respond to me or block me, but like, players like stuff all the time, or you can, all that type of stuff. Like players name search like an MFer, like everybody. And the ones that don't do it themselves have people that do it for them. So don't even worry about that.
I don't think you know the best part of this story. This tweet was in 2016 and we believe that he was blocked way back. Was it 2019 that you got a picture in person with Lamar Jackson?
Met Lamar, had a conversation with Lamar in 2019, 3 years later.
Well, I mean, no offense, but like he's not going to take the time to look at the profile of every single person that says something crazy about him. I mean, how amazing would that be? It's like 3 years later, he's Lamar Jackson. He's like first round draft pick, NFL MVP, and he's like, "Oh yeah, you weren't too high on my game against Florida State, huh?"
I would love it. Oh, I would love that so much.
Now, punk. That would be, he's got like a photographic memory.